Dummy Switch Pod. The boys are back. How are you, Chris?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pay me my money. Pay me my money. That's how I'm feeling this week,
The all
Man,
or
I'm good
nothing tour.
because
The all or nothing tour, as
all
you
or
dubbed it.
nothing tour, man. We got it. We got it. We got it all. How you doing, coach?
I'm good myself, good myself. The Dan Carters of podcasting here to give you our opinions, our
Uh-huh.
flagrant takes. Gonna wrap up the Springboks for the year. Church announcements.
Mm-hmm.
Can catch us here, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and leave a comment. I'm sure you'll disagree with us as you always do. Yeah,
Yeah,
this week
it's okay.
it's it's okay. We all have opinions, and that's the whole point of this thing. So share yours.
Yeah.
URC is back. That's what I'm happy about this week.
Yeah.
Sharks versus Stormers,
Mm-hmm.
Connacht versus the Bulls, Munster versus the Lions. But before we get to that,
Mm-hmm.
it's the Springboks, the season that was.
Yeah.
2 losses. How many wins?
Yeah. Mm.
Immeasurable wins. I don't know how many games we played.
Can't even.
You can't even
Can't
quantify
even.
it.
You can't even.
But yeah, in more seriousness, I feel like it was a good season for us. But the frustration
Mm.
is in this game and in sort of the box overall is that sometimes passes don't stick, turnovers disrupt momentum, and we're not winning 150 nil, and then people are a bit upset about that. For example, in this game, you got off to a good
Yeah.
start. I'm sure people were expecting over 50,
Yeah.
didn't quite crack it. So I think that's kind of the next level of what the fan base is expecting are those
Mm.
big wins,
Mm.
those complete performances, because we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Even in the losses, 2 1 point losses, we're getting there. But the fashion in
Yeah.
which we're getting there, I think is frustrating the fan base just a little bit. The other thing is slightly controversial. The transformation targets are not transformation targeting here. Especially with Ox and Mbonambi not there this week, it caused a bit of a stir, but
Yeah.
that's a detailed discussion.
Yeah, good as that's hey, look, that's a detailed one, even though, on paper maybe you can look at it and it may seem good, but in terms of actual guys playing, not there. But like you say, detailed discussion, I think a lot of factors go into it, and guys also, the platform is there, they need to, also just show themselves. But yeah, I think you pointed out those things we're getting there. Momentum stoppers. And I think, one thing that particularly from this game against Wales, one thing that I learned is, they're starting to look like they've got other plans in terms of when that brutality isn't working, because Wales looked pretty comfortable, when it was those one-off carries, and especially when there was no gain line momentum, as soon as you're not behind them, they were able to get up off the line and make effective tackles, and that's why it's a bit good injured, because he was getting smacked the whole game. And it was different ways. They had to find different ways to generate that momentum,
Yeah.
and when they did, it was good, and I think, like you say, it's that, especially in the beginning, that standard that is set is like, yeah, no, this is that green machine that you want to see, all the time. But it's not always going to be like that. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, but they can get pretty close to it. And I think that's where the frustration comes from, is that we know that they've got that. And we touched on it last week, and I think we saw it again. I got that. It was almost like they were playing with their food to some extent, where it was like, man, just put these guys away, just,
Yeah.
put that goat down, because they brought their own goat to the slaughterhouse. You know what I mean? And it's just it took yeah
Yeah.
it was, and those are the kind of things that are frustrating. But it's still part of a growing plan.
Yeah.
For the next cycle. And look, all or nothing, and they got the job done. I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what really matters. And
Yeah.
now it seems like they have to, you know, even go further, prove a point, going into, the next international cycle, where I think definitely they're going to be looking at trying to get two down in New Zealand, and
Yeah,
and that will definitely classify them, as outright, undeniable. Like you can't deny it now, but it's
yeah.
cherry on the cake.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I slightly disagree in terms of the Wales game. I felt like
Yeah.
just the meters made, guys were making meters. Visa was making meters.
Mm,
Guys were,
mm,
so they were able to play and they had that platform. But for me, it's like once you have that platform, like you did say, they strayed away and they were playing a bit of they were throwing the ball around a bit. They were keeping the
mm,
ball. I think they could see the only time that we're kind of not in danger, but the only time that's a real threat is at the breakdown. So they're avoiding breakdowns and they're
yeah.
throwing the ball around a bit. So
Yeah.
when you do that, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be, if you're having that many
Yeah.
passes, it's going to bring mistakes. You're going to have handling errors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's because we had majority of possession, majority
Mm,
of territory.
had
So
control, man.
yeah, Wales are not going to be the ones with the knock-ons and whatever because they don't have the ball. We have the ball most of the time.
Mm,
So by
mm,
virtue of that, more handling
yeah.
errors and that kind of thing are going to come on. But
Yeah.
all in all, I don't know. I feel like this tour, first watch, you always watch it and you're like, there's those blocks in momentum where we're kind of
Mm,
struggling. But when I watch it back the second time, even some of the performances, I saw Jaden Hendrickson was getting some slack from some people. And
aye.
when I watched it back, I was like, he had a brilliant performance. Even Jordan
Yeah.
Hendrickson, myself, even watching Jordan Hendrickson the first time, I thought it was a bit of an average performance. Second time I watched it, I was like, he wasn't bad. So I think
He
sometimes we're
wasn't.
prisoners of the moment in that way. But when you watch it
Yeah.
again, you're like, actually, I can see what's going on here, and it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Look, it really wasn't quarters. For me, I still go back to the thing of, just playing with your food, in the sense is that
Yeah,
they had it was an abundance of possession, and it came to a point where, in a way, it almost looked like, they weren't necessarily setting exactly to say, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to do it. But whenever they made those decisions to really have a go,
yeah,
it was quality, and that's all that you can ask for. But I think also in that, when you're talking about the breakdown, I think that's what we saw in these three games on this tour is breakdown battle. I think is always it's become a bit of an issue, where teams are managing to stop our momentum, but sometimes a bit too easily. We saw it even the Wales game. Look, questionable, I think, where the one I just can't remember what minute it was, but the Welsh guy we were deemed to be holding on, and wait, no, it was that knock on the Hendricks sort of knock on at the
yeah,
breakdown, and if you think about it and look at it technically, it was effectively the Welsh guy had hands in the ruck because shoulders were bound. It was already a ruck, and he needed to let go, and that's what affected that ball, making it pop out. So just things like that where our breakdown is not clean enough. But
yeah,
also, I think going forward, it does seem like the next sort of shift is going to be less breakdowns. I think in that sense is trying more to keep ball alive through the
yeah.
contact and what we're seeing with South Africa do. So I think they sort of they're doing what they do. Is setting
But if we
setting the
if if
course, and
if that's
everybody
the
else.
thing, if that's the thing that we're gonna do, then Rassi has to come out and say, "Hey guys, just be patient with us because we're gonna
Yeah,
try and run a
yeah,
bit, and there's gonna be knock-ons, there's gonna be, because that's effectively what happened in this game, and I think it
yeah,
suits us. It definitely suited us in this game with weaker opposition. It's just whether you're gonna be able to
yeah,
do it against the All
yeah.
Blacks and
But
so on
and
and
that's
so
why,
forth.
like, I think it's just another error, because you got to find different ways,
Yeah,
against like the teams that give you a bit of a tough time, like Ireland and also New Zealand, in terms of having that extra something, even France having that extra something that you can pull out, to get you a result or
yeah,
to get you a score. I think I think that's where it's going, you know. But all in all, like you say, it wasn't bad this weekend. It really wasn't, you know. And geez, we are lucky to be in this era, and you know, the dynasty. You know, I'm glad because I can see that dynasty is it's coming along. It's coming along nicely, but there's still more. I see that there's still more in this team. You know,
Yeah, there's a lot been made about how many players they use this season. If we talk about personnel, Volko Low came in this game for Ox, who Ox
much
we
better than
already
last
thought he
week.
was in doubt. We thought he was in doubt. Then they said he was playing, then he was not playing. So now Volko Low came
Mm.
in to toy switcher sides. Sean
Hey,
Klein was supposed to play, then Etzebeth had to come in for him if you're talking personnel.
yeah,
For me, Dutoy was a big winner on this tour. And the
yeah,
other thing in terms of personnel is Hendricks getting that call up and playing this third test. It's big in the sense that, hey, at the World Cup, we didn't have when Pollard was out, it was like, what are we gonna do? It was, it was all on Lubbock's shoulders. So I think they're trying to
yeah.
spread that thing more evenly. Because now, if realistically, we have four fly half options
Yes,
in Sasha, Pollard, Lubbock, Hendricks. So I think
yeah.
they've kind of spread that a bit. So even let's say Hendrickson doesn't have a test for
There's
the
room
next
for one
year.
more. I'm just saying. There's room for one more. Just
If
saying.
you
But
if you
you know,
ask me, there's
he's
room
got
for
a he's
two
got
more. If there's room for two more, if you ask me,
oh
but
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They just gotta make it happen, you know. But
but
anyway, I
alas,
digress.
so in terms of personnel, I think that was a bright point. Like I said, Tutoy especially, I think was the big winner on this tour. I think he had a good game against Scotland, got the try, scrummaging was good. In this game, he switched sides and he was good. They
Yeah.
even had to sub off their tight head at between 30 and 40 minutes in. So
Hey,
for me, like
there was that one scrum.
Nyakani is not getting caught. Dutoy has taken his place, and it's cemented
Yeah,
now. It's cemented now. He is that guy in this next cycle that's going to be the swing prop that is going to be in that squad every single time.
yeah, yeah. And I think this game, yeah, yeah, look, it was against Wales, but you still have to do it, you know. And you know, I think this was his game, you know, where really, really now he stamped that it was just that authority, you know, doesn't I think even regardless of even of the opposition that he was going to be facing on that day, I think it was just that he stamped his authority and he, you know,
Yeah,
and he just look. It's good to see because he's had torrid times. You know,
yeah, he
he's
has.
had torrid times. You know, and look, he's come of age, and I think yeah, now it's his time now. You know,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be super experienced by the time we get to that next World Cup cycle. So yeah, you can see that succession planning going on there, and it's only bodes well for the team. You know, in the long run, especially if he stays injury free.
Yeah, other things in the game, Aronsa had this was also one where he stepped up and he showed his ability. It's
Hmm.
last week it was Colby, this week it was him that came out in terms of winger performances. And I think there was just a nice thing going on between Jaden Hendrickse, Fassi, and the two wings. It was a nice sort of attacking axis that they were
Yeah,
working on. And I enjoyed to
yeah.
see that. Pollard also coming in at 12, he did a job, but I do think that he can do a job at 12 against Wales. I don't think he can do a job in any of the other tests. I think that's why they didn't
Yeah.
bring him on at 12 against England, even though they had looked like that was sort of the plan.
Yeah, look, but at the end of the day, I think as well, like we said last week, it's him also now. It's a succession planning into a different role, you know, where
Yeah,
yes, and maybe not right now in terms of against against stronger opposition or more experienced opposition, but I think with time you know, in case of emergency, he can, fulfill that
yeah,
role, and bring a different option, different picture, and also the calm head, with whoever the youngster or the less capped player will be playing on his inside. But yeah, look. overall, man, I think what you saw even is just the character of the team. When you look at a guy like Mostert,
Yeah.
how even after Itzebeth came off, he stepped up and he assumed that role, and you could just see he immediately took control,
Mm.
and I would say our line is so much better
Yes,
as
yes.
well than last week, and as much as even though I'd say Johan Hobler had a more of a in terms of the sort of flashy stuff, he had a more of a quieter game. But in terms of fundamentals, I think he did his job. He did what he needed to
Yeah.
do. Um,
I wonder
and
with that,
and
yeah, with the lineouts, which factor played the
yeah,
bigger influence? If it was Krovi's coming in or it was Mostert coming back, and Mostert, I mean, he was going to be rusty in the first game after breaking his leg, so it looks like
yeah,
now he's back in the full swing of things. So I
yeah.
wonder which of those two kind of sorted that problem out.
I think it's mostly because think of it, man. He's always been that. Even from his Lions days, he
Yeah,
was secure. At line-up time, it's always a safe option. You're going to get your ball, and I think even that control, that controlling that line, I think it's really mostly. And yeah, took maybe a game or a half for him to to get fully adjusted, but yeah, I think that for me just showed where this team is at. That look, there's guys that just have this level. Last week he
yeah,
was at just the base level, and this past or 2 weeks ago is at that base level. This past weekend he stepped it up. Maybe you even say 2 or 3 notches, and there's still a bit more in him as well. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah, man, you can't really complain. Even when Reina came on, I've been hard on Reina. I've been saying, look, I'm happy to let him go. Yes, I'm still of that view, but he's one of those where in case of you
Yeah,
gotta keep him interested, have him around, because you've got quality there, with Jaden and Grant. So yeah, overall, I think from a squad perspective, it's really complete. Complete in terms of fulfilling the respective roles that they're asked to do.
yeah. Just Hanukom coming in as well. I think he's more of a quieter time than what we saw in club rugby. But again, it's international level. It's his first cap.
Yeah,
So I don't think he did badly. I just think it's we
no,
also have to manage expectations on what a player is going to do with one half of rugby coming into international rugby for the first time. But I mean, looking at it, I don't think he did badly. It's just I think again, it's
no.
our expectations.
Yeah, but he'll get acclimatized. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think the expectation was that he was going to come in and just, bust everybody up,
yeah,
but yes, you saw those moments. And then as well, he also had those, technical moments where, in the carry is a bit loose, where he got robbed of the ball, and, things like that, where, it's that realization that it's tighter in test rugby,
yeah,
regardless of who you're playing and where the opposition is at. But at the same time, I still go back to say, Wales defensively, I think, especially when it's on a slower ball, they're a team that can match, man for man, and really come at you and put their bodies on the line. And they showed that as well. So I think that's what also in part that
yeah.
contributed to them, breaking up the Springboks play. So it, you don't just you're not just going to roll a team over, especially in their home ground, But yeah, too much power, too much class.
It was that, and it was also the creativity and the running lines for me. I mean, even if you look at that try, that I think it's Fasi's try, they
Mm-hmm.
kicked onto us. Fasi ran it back. Then nice. What I liked about this, it happened a few times, was the change of direction. We're
Yeah,
opening, we're going open sides, then we switch blind side. Then it was Sia that ran a dummy line across, and it kind of like
yeah,
opened the space, and it he took with him two or three defenders. And it's that kind of thing
yeah,
where the development in the game, the development and
yeah,
those attacking lines, and to see that a Sia dummy line is what's opening it up instead of a Sia run,
yeah,
So it's Yeah, it's good, man. The development of the game,
Yeah,
we'll see where it takes us.
yeah, you can see there's more thought in it, and more thought in terms of creating those situations where effectively it allowed for almost a 2-on-1, you know, in that just because of that dummy line that Sierra ran, it created that option where all of a sudden, it looked like it was covered and then it was not, and then the execution on top of that. But before even that, it's work rate as well, because
How good has he been this
geez,
tour?
there was yeah,
But
yeah,
we know
like
things in the personal life may have it started the fire underneath him. But this tour is kind of the best you've seen him outside of a World Cup.
outside of World Cup, that level, that standard, that focus, if you want to call it that, it's really it's really something that's yeah, you wonder, you wonder what if it was fueled by something else. But look, we love to see it, and that's what you need from your captain. But it shows again, quarters. It was all or nothing,
Yeah,
that's really what it was. It was all or nothing, and yeah, you can't really complain. You can only
yeah,
just say, okay, let's continue to stick it to these guys. That's what you want. You don't want this to end, man. You don't want
yeah,
it to end. I think that's really the feeling around it, is that you don't want it to end. And yeah, you just hope that even the guys that are coming in, can buy in, and let's get that elevation. The evolution certainly has taken place. And let's just keep it going in that trajectory where still, number one, leading the pack.
yeah. Talking about number one World Player of the Year, Peter Steph Toy. Personally, I thought Etzebeth. I would have picked Etzebeth, and I thought
I
Etzebeth
also
would
thought
have
it's a
won.
bit,
But for me,
yeah.
also at the same
Eh,
time, I'm not big on awards and
yeah.
even this thing of saying Rassi was robbed and whatever. Like I'm more of the Jose Mourinho when he threw the medal in the crowd. If you know that you won, you know that you won. You don't need other
Yeah.
people to
Yeah. Yeah.
validate you. You don't need medals. You don't. If you know that you won, you won.
Yeah. But
So
I
even
think all
when
it
it,
does is just, sorry, Curtis.
yeah, I think it just puts that bow on top. But realistically,
Yeah. But all it does is just shows. It proves what we've known, is that there's an agenda, and it kills them that and I say this, you know, because it's the colonial power nations that are trying to effectively, claim power, undue clout or whatever, undue. No, we are the best. It's no, it's too much now. The fact of the matter is
yeah,
that the northern hemisphere, and they really are desperate. To be honest, they're desperate to have a 2003 again, where England were the World Cup champions. I mean, if you look at the history of the tournament, it tells you, man, and
yeah,
they have to. They're doing it for themselves, for some other way, just to make themselves feel better. That no, we got the best player and this that, but everybody knows. Everybody knows. You can't run away from what
yeah,
matters. At the end of the day, Peter Steph, I think it's a year too late, that
yeah,
he was supposed to get it last year. Etzebeth, yes, was supposed to be this year, but no, we can't have South Africa dominating too much. We can't have a third world nation dominating too much. That's what they're trying to stop,
yeah.
even to the point with the laws and whatnot, but they can't deny us, man. They really can't, but like you say, those those are just, I think, sideshows, really. Those are just like fantasy league stuff. The real thing that matters, the real thing that matters is what matters the most. Is the wins column, and also the trophy cabinet.
Yeah, any closing remarks for me? URC coming up. I won't lie, I
Oh
missed
yes,
URC. I missed
yeah,
URC.
yeah.
Munster at home versus the Lions. They've changed coach. Hoping the Lions can go on tour and do something. Sharks Stormers, how are you feeling about that?
Look, I saw something say, hey, you know what? Nobody's talking about how the Sharks haven't beaten the Stormers in the URC. Look, they got a. It's their chance now. I don't look.
Yeah,
Yes, they've been on a break and all of that, but in terms of where the Stormers have been and where the Sharks, but now again, the Boks aren't there. This is gonna be now. This is gonna be, I think,
yeah,
an entertaining game because of that fact that the Boks aren't there. It's the other guys now. So yeah, look, I'll say Sharks to sneak it. I'll say Sharks to sneak it. I'm backing the Sharks to sneak it.
yeah. Bulls versus Connacht. I'm not too sure about that one, but there's guys spending a lot of time in Europe between playing for the Box, being on tour before, and now being on tour after. But I think that's
Yeah,
it
they're
from us.
acclimatized now.
Yeah, they'll have their jackets already. It's just the guys that haven't been on tour. They'll be like, no, you need to get this jacket. I've been here when it's snowing and
Yeah, man. But URC's back and look, the Boks are still on top.
but yeah, I think that's it from us, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.